Hello beautiful people from the internet, it is Connie over here. Welcome back to another video. Today is a very special day because we are celebrating hitting 200,000 subscribers here on this channel, and for that I want to thank you guys so much from the bottom of my heart, because you have changed my life in ways that I find hard to even start to comprehend, let alone describe. I asked you guys on Instagram to ask me some questions and I'm going to be answering those today, but before I'm going to go through a rapid fire of questions that I see being asked a lot in the comments so that I can just synthesize everything. Is that a word? Summarize? I don't know. Here at the start of this video. So it's going to be very quick, just the main questions that I usually get. Also, if you see me looking down, I have my journal here with the questions. So, what camera do you use? I use the Sony ZV-1F ever since the start of 2024. So I've had it for a couple of years and it has been working quite nice. What do you edit on? I edit on CapCut Desktop and I pay a €12 per month subscription for it. Blah. Are you a full-time YouTuber? Yes, I currently am. Dream collaboration? Jacob fucking Jones, for obvious reasons. It would just be the coolest thing ever. How much do you make on YouTube? I make about the average salary of a Portuguese person. Do you see yourself doing YouTube in 10 years from now? Yes, I do. It may not be at the same frequency, but I cannot see myself ever stopping creating videos and showing you around the things that I like and the things that I find beautiful. How old are you? I'm 25. What is your height? I have 1 meter and 63 centimeters or 5'3". Where are you from? I am from Portugal. Are you single? No. Do you want to have kids? Yes, I would love to have kids. How do you view success? So this definition has changed a lot for me over the years. When I was younger, I thought it was to get a lot of things, a lot of money, a lot of friends, a lot of connections, big house, big everything. You know, I think this is a process that maybe a lot of us go through. But these days, my definition of success is to wake up excited for the day that you are about to go through and go to bed content with the way that it went, no matter how it went, you know. So I would say that's it. What's your comfort game? Stardew Valley. Forever. What game do you have the most hours on? League of Legends. I have 7,000 hours at least on League of Legends and counting, playing it every day. Favorite book genre? Classic literature and philosophy. Last 5-star reads. My last 5-star read was probably The Plague by Albert Camus. Fantastic. I mean, look at what I wrote at the end of the book. This is what I had to say. 5-star reads, The Plague. That was the last one that I gave 5 stars to, and I am pretty picky with my 5 stars, okay? Favorite album of all time? Okay, I thought about this for a long time, but I think In Rainbows by Radiohead. I was thinking between In Rainbows and OK Computer. Ultimately, I just landed on In Rainbows by Radiohead, so here we go. But it was going to be a Radiohead regardless, so here it is. Okay, I have come home because of some wind that was picking up and I am having a smoke, and I'm going to be answering the questions that you guys asked on the little Instagram question box thingy. So the first question is, how much do you spend on cigarettes per month? And I'm currently spending €15 on cigarettes per month, which equals to 3 packs. Are you still on 2 cigarettes per day or have you increased? So a couple of months back, I successfully decreased from 3 cigarettes a day to 2, and I have managed to keep myself there, which makes me feel very proud and content. Another set of questions is, when do you think you will quit and have you tried to quit? Okay, so I have a very specific time frame in which I have decided for myself that I will quit, and that is when I decide to start my own family. That means having kids of my own. And I have never formally tried to quit. The only thing I try to do regarding consumption of cigarettes is decrease, and I'm very happy that I was able to. You know, it was difficult, but worth it. And maybe one day I can even get myself back to 1 a day, which is what I was doing for many years in a row before I slipped. Then we have some channel related questions. The first one is, in a few years from now, what plans do you have for the channel, if any? So I plan on keep on making videos for as long as I like and as long as I can. And I don't see myself not making videos. Honestly, I just love it so dearly that even when it's no longer my full-time occupation, I will still be making videos here and there about whatever I'm doing, activities, about life, about different things, just like I've been doing now. And so we'll see how it evolves, but I don't plan on leaving, that's for sure. Another very interesting question I got is how to start YouTube on a budget. And this is great because I started YouTube in 2022, and all I was using was my smartphone at the time. I was recording with the front camera of my smartphone. And so I would say that if you want to give YouTube a try, you probably already have the gear that you need to start. You don't need to go buy anything new. I didn't have a microphone or anything, just simply my phone and the phone's built-in microphone. That's what I used. So just start with whatever you already have. There are plenty of free editing softwares like DaVinci Resolve, and so just have a go at it without investing anything yet. Just see if you like it first, I would say. Any advice for smaller creators? I would say don't overthink things too much. Don't be afraid of being perceived. If there is something that you want to communicate, whether it is an idea or a place that you like, or a way of thinking that you have, or a game that you like to play, just make a video about it and post it. Just don't overthink it, because a lot of times we get stuck in the preparation. I have to do this and this, and I have to think this through before I start, and then you see time passing and you haven't started yet because you're waiting for the right time, and there is no right time. The right time is when you have the idea that you'd like to do something, so go ahead and do it, my friends. There is no fear, there's nothing to be lost, so why not give it a shot? Alright, we have another set of questions here that I titled Way of Being. How do you manage to keep your calm? I would say that this is a lot of fake it till you make it and practice through the years. I am generally a very anxious person, very prone to panic at the smallest inconvenience or the smallest stress, you know, and so over the years, and I feel like especially through the literature that I read, which I will share a little bit more of later on, I've gathered some new ways of thinking and thought patterns that help me in situations where I may feel overwhelmed. One thing that I really love doing is affirmations. So as silly as it sounds, I literally sit there in a state of anxiety and I repeat to myself, you are okay, your life is not in danger, nothing major will go wrong from this thing that is going out right now. Things will be fine, you will figure it out, you'll be okay. You know, I keep repeating these things to myself, and the first years that I did this, it felt kind of fake because I truly did not believe any of what I was saying. But what you think and what you put out into the world is what eventually will come back to you and show as the way that you approach the world, you know. And so if you keep calming yourself down as best as you can in these situations, eventually these thoughts are going to come to you naturally. You will not have to force them out. You will not have to force yourself to believe that everything is okay. You will just sit there in a stressful situation and tell yourself, you know, I'll figure this out. Just as I figured everything else out up until now, it'll be okay, you know. But it takes practice and it takes resilience and it's difficult. But I feel like that's how I keep my calm, and I've been able to become a much calmer person these days than I was before. Just through sitting through the uncomfortable feeling of anxiety and letting myself know that even if it doesn't seem like it right now, I will be okay. Things will work out, it will be fine. How do you deal with uncertainty? What's a legitimate cause to worry or not to worry? Now, uncertainty is one of my biggest issues. I feel like it's the thing that I've been working on with myself the most this past year. I have a very, very big thing with control, trying to control the outcomes of situations, because I am afraid that I may not foresee something and then I'm put in a situation that I didn't think of how to resolve prior. And so uncertainty for me is especially difficult because I have this thing with control. But at the end of the day, I have to remind myself, and you as well, that the only thing that you can control is the way that you behave. There is nothing else that is under your control, and as scary as that seems, it also gives you some agency to know that, you know, if there comes a situation that I think may happen in the future that may be difficult or tough to deal with, I cannot prevent it from happening per se. If it is going to happen, it is going to happen. What I can do is build skills and ways of thinking that are going to help me go through it a little bit easier if I'm going to have to go through it in a state of panic, making rash decisions, you know. So uncertainty, I would say is difficult for me, but the way that I deal with it is just, I tell myself that whenever the difficult thing that I'm thinking may happen comes, then I will deal with it then, just as I've dealt with everything else in the past. You know, I feel like this is a common thing that I tell myself. I've been able to get here, I'm 25 years old and I am alive, and I've gotten through everything that the world has thrown at me, so let it keep throwing things at me and I will keep getting through them, you know, and it will build me up to be a transformed and different person from what I am now. Just like what I am now is very different from when I was a couple of years younger, or a lot of years younger, you know. I've been falling out of love with life. What keeps you going? I feel like I've had this same thought a lot, especially when I was a little bit younger. I'm not quite sure what keeps me going. I would say it's just the simple day-to-day small joys. Like, for example, I was in the middle of recording this video and I was feeling a little bit hungry and warm, and so I decided to cut myself an apple, and I was cutting it, I was just telling myself how grateful I was to be able to have a fresh apple in my fridge that I will now cut and eat. And this may seem very trivial, you know, like you're grateful for an apple, but yeah, you know, I feel like your love for life has to come from very trivial places, because your day-to-day life is probably, I don't want to assume things, but if it's like me, it's a very mundane thing, you know, where there are not many special things happening. And so the things that are happening in your daily life, those are the things that you have to learn to appreciate. And I've been doing this for many years now, so it comes naturally to me. As I am cutting the apple, I don't have to think about, oh, you know, I should think about how grateful I am to be able to have an apple. It's already a thought that naturally comes into my brain, you know. I feel like a lot of the times we look at life like this big journey of achievements and successes and things that will happen in the future that will be great. One day I'll have kids, one day I'll be married, one day I'll have a house, maybe one day I'll have a lot more money. But if you're constantly living in that hypothetical future that, by the way, may never even really happen, maybe one day when you get there, those are not even the things you want anymore, then you'll just never really be happy. You know, you need to look at what there is right now, the most trivial, the most simple things, the things that you usually don't look at, and appreciate them, because that's what exists. The things that you want in the future, and maybe one day you'll get, those are things for you to be happy then, when that is your present moment, but it isn't currently. And so currently, what do you have that you can be grateful for? What is there that you can appreciate? Even, for example, your vision. You can go outside and look at trees. I personally love trees. Maybe this doesn't work for everybody, but you know, you can see so many beautiful colors and reflections of light and shadows with your eyes, and you can breathe and you can hear things, songs, melodies, people talking, people laughing. What a great thing it is to hear a nice laugh in a distance, you know. I love that feeling. But try to look at what there is that you already have and learn to appreciate those things, so that you can become somebody that is able to appreciate what they have when they have it, and not always trying to look for what else they could be having in the future, I would say. How do you recenter yourself when you feel overwhelmed? For me, the things that helps the most is getting out of my brain. And I do that by going outside and choosing a target, which is usually a bird, a bush, a person. I like to people watch, and I just sit there in a park bench and I look at this bird and I try to think of what it is doing. It is looking for food, it's jumping around, it's playing with other birds, it's singing melodies, you know. What is this person doing? They're walking with a bag, maybe they just went shopping, maybe they're going home after groceries, maybe they have a gift in that bag, maybe it's just a bag that they use for work. I don't know, you know. I start thinking about what I am seeing, so that my thoughts are redirected to the external world, and I stop the snowball of overwhelm and overthinking that I have inside of my brain. Because I feel like feeling overwhelmed is very snowball-like. You start feeling anxious about a topic, then you try to fix it, then you realize that maybe there is no immediate fixing, and then you feel more overwhelmed, then it just keeps on going, you know? So for me, what really helps is look at something that is happening currently in the real world and focus my thoughts on that as best as I can. And it usually helps. What do you feel the meaning of life is? All right, so the meaning that I have attributed to my life And this was after a lot of pondering and a lot of thinking and a lot of panicking, because I thought that meaning was something that came to you or you have to go and search for it. And I didn't know where to look. I didn't know if I was on the right path to find my meaning. And I made this whole problem out of something that is supposed to be a fun philosophical discussion, I think. For me, the meaning of life is to just wake up and go about my normal day, being able to find joy and beauty in all different places, you know, in situations that maybe usually you wouldn't find beauty in, just having a keen eye for the beauty of everything, and I don't know, just being a calm, observant, nice person, I guess. That is the meaning that I've given my life as of now. Of course, this may change. It can change in the future, I don't know, but for currently, yeah, this is it. What do you think the most important thing in life is? I would say that the most important thing in life, in my opinion, is probably connection. Because life offers many great things, like nature and even media that you can consume, like books and movies and series and anime and games that you can play and stories that you can share. But that's the thing. If there are not other people for you to share your thoughts and desires and anxieties and fears with, I feel like it all becomes a little bit more pointless. And so I feel like when I see a beautiful thing on the street, there's always a set of people that I think of that I would like to share that thing that I saw with, or a story that I've heard. There's always somebody that I want to share that story with. Yeah, I would say connection, people. All right, now we have some questions about media. The first one is, what is your favorite book? And has it had an impact on how you perceive life or changed the way that you think? I love this question because I love talking about my favorite book, which is Letters to a Young Poet by Rilke. When I first read this book, I felt that I was going through a revolution. When I was reading through these pages, I knew that after I finished this book, I would be a different person than when I started it. And up until now, I feel like this has been the only book that gave me such a strong sensation of change. It deals with uncertainty, with sadness, with patience, with art, with creativity. It is the most beautiful thing I have read. It has completely changed the way that I approach a lot of different aspects in my life, and I actually chose a couple of passages here to read to you. Okay, so this first one deals with patience, and specifically being patient in the creation of art. These things cannot be measured by time. A year has no meaning and 10 years are nothing. To be an artist means not to calculate and count, to grow and ripen like a tree which does not hurry the flow of its sap, and stands at ease in the spring gales without fearing that no summer may follow. It will come. Being patient, knowing that great things take time to develop. You cannot want a great piece of art or a great piece of work to come out from one day to the next. You have to sit there like a tree, knowing that summer will follow and not fearing that it won't, you know, because it will come eventually. You just have to be patient. Now, I have another passage here that deals with uncertainty, and I love this one very much. You are so young, all still lies ahead of you, and I should like to ask you, as best as I can, dear sir, to be patient towards all that is unresolved in your heart, and try to love the questions themselves, like locked rooms, like books written in a foreign tongue. Do not now strive to uncover answers. They cannot be given you because you have not been able to live them. And what matters is to live everything. Live the questions for now. Perhaps then you will gradually, without noticing it, live your way into the answer one distant day in the future. And this to me was absolutely major, because with uncertainty you have a lot of questions like, how will this specific part of my life look like? How will this unfold? And you still don't have the answers to these things because you haven't walked into them. That part of your life still hasn't come. What you have now is the question. That is the thing that you have to live, you know, live the question, be here in the moment with the question, and do not want to speed up the process of knowing everything because you still are not ready. to get the answer, because if you were, you would have gotten it, you know? I just absolutely loved basically everything that I read in this book. I have this passage here on sadness that I'm not sure I'm going to read. I don't know if you guys are interested in all of these passages, but this book really is the greatest thing I've ever read in my life. And so this one is on sadness, and it says, "So dear Mr. Camus, you shouldn't be dismayed if a sadness rises up in front of you, greater than any you've ever seen before, or if a disquiet plays over your hands and over all your doings like light and cloud shadow. You must think that something is happening with you, that life has not forgotten you, that it holds you in its hand. It will not let you fall. Why should you want to exclude from your life all unsettling, all pain, all depression of spirit, when you don't know what work it is these states are performing within you?" I had never thought of it that way. Of course, sadness and anxiety and pain are not things that we like going through, but we have to realize that these states of being are doing things to us which will be positive in the end, you know? And so live through whatever you are living right now and stop constantly trying to avoid it and move on to the next thing, because no state of being is permanent, and that goes for sadness and for happiness and for all others too. And so live whatever it is you have to live right now, and the answers will come to you when you are ready to know them. I'm almost crying. I love this book so much. I have such a passion for Letters to a Young Poet. I feel shaky, you know. Favorite Radiohead song? Man of War. What phone do you use? I get this question a lot. Where is that thing? I use a Xiaomi Note 13 Pro that I've had ever since 2024. This thing is great. It cost me 400 euros at the time. It has fallen to the ground many times in many different surfaces, and it has never broken, which is fantastic. I personally could never have an iPhone because I'm very clumsy and I'm always dropping my phone, unfortunately. I'm trying to work on it, but you know. And I know that they are very, very fragile, and so I need something that is sturdy and can handle my clumsiness, I guess. And so I have a Xiaomi Note 13 Pro, does everything that I want and more. What is your favorite book this summer? I think that the book that I've liked the most that I've read so far has been The Fall by Camus. This was fantastic, and some of you guys have already told me that you read The Fall because I talked about it in a video and you really enjoyed it. It's a very short book, but it just has so much packed into it. The character development in this is so great. So I would say The Fall by Albert Camus. What author do you wish to read more of? Albert Camus. I still have some of his books to read, and then I want to move on to his plays and just go through the whole repertoire of Albert Camus. He really is very, very life-changing, and I love the way that he writes. I love the feeling that I get when I read his books. And so, yeah, Albert Camus. What is the best thing you learned in 2026? Okay, a very good thing that I learned about myself is that I have a very big problem with control. And since learning that, I have been trying to fix it gradually. Of course, these are things that take months, if not years, if not a lifetime, you know, but it's great that I realized it now. Better sooner rather than later, they say. And I learned really good wave management in League of Legends, and now I never lose a lane, which is very good, but I feel like that's a more trivial little learning that I did. But it's been great. I've been climbing, so you know, must be a great sign. How do you juggle between multiple hobbies? Okay, as a person that has many different hobbies, sometimes I feel a little bit overwhelmed because I want to do all of them at least for a little bit during my days, and sometimes that's just not possible, you know? And so I just try to allocate 30 minutes per day where I'm going to pay attention to one or two of my hobbies. So those 30 minutes today may be given to reading some pages of my book and or journaling a couple of pages on my journal. Another day it may be practicing a little bit of guitar, playing a game of League of Legends, you know. Most of the times I cannot do them all in one day as much as I would like to, but I feel like you have to find places in your days to do the things that you love very much, and your hobbies and the things and the skills that you are building even. And so allocate a specific amount of time after dinner, or even wake up a little bit earlier if you are a morning bird, which I'm not really a morning bird. Is that how you say it? I don't know, but I would say have a specific time slot in a day that you know this is going to be for me to do this hobby of mine. You know, that's kind of how I do it. Any plans on returning to school? No, not currently. I don't currently have any plans on returning to school. See, I gave the short answers and then the long form one. Why am I like this? If you could go back in time now, how would you reassure your younger self that everything would be okay? Do you have any book recommendations for her? Okay, if I could go back in time, I feel like if she could see me, that would be a very great reassurance for her, because she would see that, you know, I was alive and happy, and that would have been really great as a motivation for her to see that the hole that she was in was not permanent. I would tell her that the perspective that she has right now of what the world is very limited, and that as she grows up and meets different people and goes to different places, she will see that there is much, much more than she thinks that the world is, you know? That the world doesn't have to only be pain and sadness, but that there are a vast amount of different things to experience and different emotions to go through. If I could recommend her some books, those would probably be Letters to a Young Poet. I am not sure she could understand this book to the full extent. I'm not sure I understand this book to its full extent, but I feel like there are some things here that she would probably really value reading. And then I would say she would absolutely have to read Manual by Epictetus and Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. These two books were very, very big fundamentals for my change in way of being. Before reading these books, which was summer of 2024, I just didn't know how to deal with a lot of different things. I didn't know how to deal with negative opinions from me to myself or from others towards me. I didn't know how to deal with uncertainty as well as I do now. I didn't know how to appreciate anything that wasn't considered grand, like, you know, lots of whatever, lots of money, lots of success, whatever it was. Those were the things that I thought should be appreciated in life. And after reading Stoicism, I realized that it's just not the truth, you know. There are plenty of different things to appreciate every day at all time. I feel like for a girl growing in a world that is very, you know, consumerism based, it would have been very beneficial for her to understand that greatness does not come from owning things. It comes from being able to appreciate what already is there, you know. So yeah. And then we have the last question. How many plants do you have, and can you do a plant tour? You couldn't have asked of anything better of me. Okay, I think I counted 28 plants if you count my propagations as well, but I will give you a tour right now. All right, let's go. Okay, first on top of my piano we have my philodendron Brazil. She's very, very beautiful and very full and trailing a little bit already. Then on top of my shelf we have the mother ivy, which is what I call her. She is trailing on the curtain woody thingy and trailing down my bookshelf as well. I take regular cuttings to make sure that she keeps a full head of hair, but she is doing quite well, very green, vibrant and lush. Then over here we have my Monstera constellation, which is my favorite plant, I think, but don't say that to the others, okay? She has very, very beautiful variegation, and I'm actually going to repot her today because, as you can see, there are roots coming through, which means she needs more space, and so that's what I'll be tackling today. Now here in my little table we have propagations of philodendron. Some of these need to be cleaned. These are ivy propagations, so just cuts that I take from the mother ivy and I put in water. Then we have my two teenager propagations, which are a little bit bigger and no longer fit in just these small vessels. We have these ones here. I even have a basil growing in water, which was a little experiment that I did, but more ivy propagations. Here we have my first ever ivy propagation. I'm so proud of her. She was just a very small cutting, and now look at her, all grown up, trailing all by herself. And she really likes this spot here. Then on the windowsill we have my Gloria's bonsai, some succulent propagations and succulents. Then here we have my basils, which I've really been loving growing. They are very, very fun and fragrant. And then here we have some cosmos, which currently are not blooming any flowers, sadly. And some daisies, which I repotted the other day because they were needing more space. And so these are currently my plants. I love them very, very, very much. Alrighty, my friends, it is now time to part ways. I hope you have enjoyed watching this video, and I'll be back very, very soon next week with another video for you guys. And yeah, have a great rest of your day and smile. Bye!